Hey, welcome. It's Brian, and today I wanted to talk about my top 5 progressive rock records that were released between 1970 and 1975. And if you have some others on these that you hear, please put them in the list. If you agree, that'd be great to know as well. And we'll start out with In the Wake of Poseidon by King Crimson. That came out in 1970, and I prefer that over In the Court of the Crimson King just because I'm more drawn to a lot of these songs on In the Wake of Poseidon, like Peace, Cadence and Cascade, Pictures of a City, and then you just have some longer form stuff too. And I really, really appreciate that. And it just resonates with me as a whole record. And so I'm going to name that one. And it also has the incredible Greg Lake singing coming back from the first record. And, there's also Cat Foods on it, which maybe that one's a tough listen. I don't know. But that is definitely not my favorite King Crimson song for sure. But anyway, some cool stuff for sure on that one. And just really neat to hear Robert playing acoustic guitar on a few pieces. And, he didn't really do that for a long time. So anyway, In a Wake of Poseidon. That's one of my favorites. Next would be, of course, Yes, Close to the Edge, which they had done some long pieces on the previous records, meaning like Heart of the Sunrise, Perpetual Change, and some on the earlier records. But I think Close to the Edge, they took it to the almost extreme with the amazing compositions on that. And you get these really great orchestral, almost like impressionistic compositions, but with some really great interplay between Steve Howe and Rick Wakeman and Bill Bruford, and of course Chris Squire, kind of shaping the harmony of a lot of the stuff and really a unique approach to bass playing and music. And you get probably one of the most important records that I can think of that came out in the 70s, and not just for progressive rock. I just really think it was and is a perfect record and delivered some really interesting conceptual and artistic kind of things that I think a lot of people probably took that and set goals as far as their own music and kind of shaped music in a different way that maybe Led Zeppelin, of course, hadn't done, or the Beatles or Deep Purple or whatever. They just kind of took it to a different level. And then, of course, you have the incredible singing of John Anderson, who I think in a lot of ways was the propulsive creative force behind these bigger and more elaborate pieces. Although John wasn't really constructing the music, I think he was probably helping to arrange it. So I think he's as almost important. Well, he is as important as the other players. And yes, of course, Close to the Edge would be on this list. Next is Thick as a Brick by Jethro Tull. I've recently become obsessed with this record again and listened to it from beginning to end, and really blown away by sonically it sounds better than Aqualung. And if you read anything or listen to Ian Anderson talk about the recording of Aqualung, it was not while they were recording, it was a very difficult record to make. Now, I don't know about Thick as a Brick, but I'm blown away the more I deeply listen to it by all the great playing on it. So not only do you have great playing, but it's just like just a masterwork. And it's not really a concept record in that same way, but basically a piece that's the side of a record, pretty important and really impactful. So I love that record, Thick as a Brick. Next is King Crimson, Starless and Bible Black, which, as we know, King Crimson kind of had two very distinctive different phases in the 60s and 70s. The one being the first two with Greg Lake, and then you have Lizard, and then Islands. Islands was the one I always had a hard time with, but I've even started to like that. But initially, I was drawn to two records out of the catalog from the 70s, and that would be Wake of Poseidon, like we talked about, and next would be Starless and Bible Black. And that one was such a change from the earlier records, but I still immediately liked it because It's like a jazz rock quartet, super ventilated. There's parts in it that are so quiet that you can barely hear the playing. And they just really did a lot with dynamics. It's out there and it's highly dissonant. And a lot of that guitar playing was a big influence on me. And I don't think there's been a record like that one since. There's lots of stuff close to it, but compositionally, it's interesting how they approached it, and it's amazing to have a Bill Bruford and Robert Fripp in the same band, and then violin playing, and then John Wetton's super amazingly loud and muscular big bass playing, rounding it out. I would have loved to seen that band, probably amongst many other things, but that would have been incredible. So, Starless and Bible Black, one of my favorite records from 1970 through 75. Next would be Rush, Caress of Steel. Super important record. I think I only skip one song off that record, and that's I Think I'm Going Bald. But that record, out of all the Rush records that I've owned, which is most up and through Power Windows, that one, that second side with the Necromancer and all of those longer form pieces, really, I just spent so many nights just listening a cassette tape, but that second side a lot. And even the first side, Lakeside Park's an incredible song. Anthem, I think that's on that. So, those are really cool songs, but it's that second side that I still listen to this day and am blown away by it. 2112, the next record, takes that to the next level. The songwriting's kind of better in a way. And the 2112 part, the kind of concept end of it, is kind of more interesting from a storytelling standpoint, I guess. But for me, just the kind of mystical elements to Caress of Steel really, really hold up, and I really, really love that record. Now, I'm going to add one more record. This is kind of a new one for me, and that is Octopus by Gentle Giant. I recently did a short where I talked about my least favorite progressive rock bands of all time, and that was more of a kind of a clickbait thing just to kind of get people talking about it. And what I should have said on that is bands I least understand that are from the 70s and progressive rock. And one of those was Gentle Giant. And so after I got some pretty abrasive comments, not too many, but there's obviously going to be a few, I thought I'm going to listen to the whole catalog back and forth as much as I can handle. And I really have grown to dig them. And this probably is no surprise to anyone that loves Gentle Giant. But Octopus, that one just really resonated with me. And it's such a unique record. Is it my favorite progressive rock band of all time? No. But I think after listening to it, it's become really, really important. And yeah, I just really dig that record a lot. And I'm getting to know the band more and more, and even doing some reactions to some of their songs. So lots of cool stuff. Luckily, they did a lot of TV appearances and recorded concerts and stuff like that, where, mid 70s King Crimson did almost none. There's only a few pieces that I've seen. And so it's easier to kind of get behind something and do fun videos with if they have a lot of content. So the last one on my list is Gentle Giant, Octopus, and those are some of my picks. Those were 6, but hopefully you share something with me with those. And I think Gentle Giant, I'm sure lots of people will have input on that one, hopefully, if they watch this. And I appreciate you spending some time with me, and I'll see you soon.